Most people believe skill mastery is about talent. Some think it is about passion. Others say it is about motivation, discipline, or long hours. China quietly disagrees. In China, skill is not treated as a personal expression. It is treated as a systemic outcome. And that single difference explains why Chinese students dominate math competitions, why Chinese factories train complex skills in months instead of years, and why Chinese performers, engineers, and craftsmen often reach professional competence unusually fast. This is not about intelligence, it is about method. And the method starts with a rejection of the Western myth of natural ability. In China, the assumption is simple. Anyone can master almost any skill if the structure is correct. This belief is not philosophical, it is operational. Let's break down how it works. First, China separates learning from performance. This separation is intentional, not accidental. It treats learning as a private phase, not a public show. In the West, beginners are pushed to perform early. You are asked to display progress almost immediately. We want confidence, we want creativity, we want visible results that can be praised or measured. China delays all of that on purpose. Performance is seen as the outcome, not the training tool. The Chinese method starts with mechanical repetition without expression. There is no emphasis on originality at the beginning, no style, no flair, no personalization, only fundamentals, correct movement, correct sequence, correct timing. Nothing else is allowed to interfere. A piano student repeats scales thousands of times before playing real songs, not to sound musical, but to make finger placement automatic. A martial arts student practices stances before ever fighting, weight distribution, balance, posture, again and again. A math student drills problem sets long before understanding abstract theory, not to feel smart, but to make patterns familiar. This feels boring, it feels slow, it feels restrictive, but it does something extremely powerful. It removes cognitive load. The brain is no longer multitasking. It stops asking, "What should I do next?" It stops hesitating. It stops improvising too early. Instead, execution becomes automatic. The body moves correctly without conscious effort. The hands respond without hesitation. Once execution is automated, mental space is freed. Only then can speed be added. Only then can creativity emerge. Speed comes later. Expression comes later. Innovation comes later. Mastery comes first. Second, China prioritizes error elimination, not creativity. This priority shapes the entire learning environment from the start. The system is designed to reduce variance, not encourage exploration. In many Western systems, mistakes are seen as learning moments. They are tolerated, sometimes even celebrated. The belief is that failure builds resilience and originality. In China, mistakes are treated differently. They are viewed as inefficiencies in the system, signals that something incorrect is being reinforced. The goal is not to explore mistakes. The goal is to remove them as early as possible. Teachers intervene immediately. They do not wait for self-discovery. They do not allow errors to repeat. Corrections are blunt, direct, sometimes uncomfortable. Feedback is constant, real-time, unfiltered. This is not about humiliation. It is not about breaking confidence. It is about compression. When errors are corrected instantly, bad habits never have time to solidify. There is no repetition of the wrong movement, no reinforcement of the wrong pattern, and habits once formed are extremely expensive to unlearn. They require more effort to undo than to build correctly from the start. They slow progress later, even if creativity is high. China understands this cost clearly, so it optimizes the early phase of learning for precision, for consistency, for clean execution. The system sacrifices emotional comfort in the short term, but it saves years of correction in the long term. China optimizes for clean foundations, not emotional comfort. Third, China uses high-frequency exposure, not long sessions. This is a structural choice, not a motivational one. Learning is built into the rhythm of daily life. Instead of one long practice per week, Chinese learners repeat skills every single day, often multiple times per day. The sessions are short, deliberately limited, easy to repeat. short sessions, high frequency. This approach aligns closely with neuroscience. Skills are not primarily encoded during effort. They are encoded during rest. What matters is how often the brain revisits the same signal. Each exposure triggers a consolidation cycle. Sleep then locks that cycle in. Frequent exposure means more consolidation events. More consolidation means faster stabilization of skill. In simple terms, practicing a skill for 30 minutes every day beats 3 hours once a week. Not because of intensity, but because of repetition over time. China designs learning around this principle, not around inspiration, not around motivation spikes. The system does not ask, "Do you feel like practicing today?" It assumes repetition is non-negotiable. China structures environments to force this frequency. Schools are scheduled around daily drills. Training halls repeat the same movements every morning. Factories rehearse processes until they become reflex. Military units drill constantly, not occasionally. The environment itself does the disciplining, not personal willpower, not emotional drive. You do not rely on motivation when the system repeats the behavior for you. Consistency becomes automatic. Progress becomes inevitable. Fourth, China treats mastery as social, not personal. This changes how learning feels and how fast it progresses. Skill is not framed as self-expression, it is framed as shared competence. In the West, learning is largely individual. You practice alone. You develop a personal style early. Progress is measured against your own past performance. In China, learning is collective. You train in groups. You move together. You advance together. You observe others constantly, not casually, deliberately. You copy openly. There is no shame in imitation, no pressure to be unique at the beginning. In fact, imitation is respected. It is seen as intelligence, not weakness. The fastest learner is the best copier. You are expected to mirror the best performer. Their posture, their timing, their precision. You repeat what they do until your body internalizes the pattern, until execution becomes unconscious. This dramatically accelerates learning. Why? Because the brain learns faster from models than from theory. Watching correct behavior reduces uncertainty. It removes guesswork. It provides a clear target. Instead of asking, "What should this look like?" the learner already knows. China does not ask beginners to innovate. Innovation without a base is considered noise. It asks them to replicate excellence first, to absorb proven patterns, to match established standards. Only after replication becomes effortless does variation appear. Only after mastery is stable does originality emerge. Originality comes later. Fifth, China delays reward and praise. This point is critical to understanding the entire system. Incentives shape behavior more than instruction does. Western systems tend to reward effort early. Trying is praised. Participation is acknowledged. Emotional encouragement is constant. China takes a different approach. Reward is delayed. Praise is scarce. You do not receive recognition for trying. You receive recognition for correctness and for consistency over time. This conditions the brain in a specific way. Satisfaction becomes linked to precision, not to emotion, not to intention. The learner begins to seek accuracy, not applause. They measure progress by reduction of error, by stability of execution. As a result, motivation becomes internal. It is no longer dependent on external validation. It does not fluctuate with mood. Progress also becomes measurable. You either performed correctly or you did not. The standard is clear. This clarity creates resilience. There is no confusion about expectations. Difficulty is not interpreted as failure. Learners do not quit when things feel hard. They do not assume something is wrong, because hardness is expected. Struggle is built into the process. When praise arrives, it has weight. When reward comes, it signals true competence. China delays reward not to discourage learners, but to align motivation with mastery. Now let's compare this with the dominant Western approach. Western systems emphasize early creativity. From the start, learners are encouraged to experiment, improvise, and express themselves. They provide emotional encouragement constantly. Confidence and self-esteem are prioritized alongside skill. Personal expression is valued. Uniqueness is nurtured. Individual style is considered as important as technical competence. Mistakes are tolerated, even celebrated. Errors are framed as natural stepping stones toward growth. Trial and error is part of the learning experience. The structure is flexible, schedules are adjustable, methods are open to adaptation. Learning adapts to the learner, not the other way around. This feels humane. It feels supportive. It protects motivation and emotional well-being. But it comes at a cost. It is slower. The brain carries extra cognitive load. Bad habits can form. Efficiency is sacrificed for comfort and individuality. China chooses differently. It prioritizes efficiency over comfort. It prioritizes mastery over immediate satisfaction. It prioritizes repetition, precision, and collective learning. And efficiency compounds. Small advantages in execution build exponentially over time. Skills once mastered accelerate future learning. Errors avoided early save years of correction. Consistency and discipline become automatic. Where the Western approach develops adaptable, emotionally confident learners, the Chinese approach produces rapid, reliable, and scalable mastery. One feels comfortable, the other feels unstoppable. This is why Chinese students can compress 10 years of skill acquisition into 3. The system layers repetition, error elimination, and high-frequency practice so efficiently that what takes others a decade can be mastered in a fraction of the time. This is why Chinese manufacturing training pipelines consistently outperform their global counterparts. Workers move with precision. Processes run smoothly. Mistakes are minimized before they can ripple through the system. This is why Chinese performers, musicians, athletes, and artists often appear naturally gifted. Their talent seems effortless, their timing perfect, their execution flawless. They are not born this way. They are system-trained. Every movement, every skill, every nuance is the product of structured learning, relentless practice, and disciplined feedback. What looks like innate talent is really mastery engineered through method. So what can we extract from this? You do not need to adopt the entire culture. You do not need to live in China or follow every tradition. But you can adopt the principles. Delay expression. Focus first on correctness, not creativity. Mastery comes before flair. Eliminate errors early. Catch mistakes immediately. Prevent bad habits from forming in the first place. Practice frequently, not intensely. Short, repeated sessions outperform occasional long marathons. Consistency compounds faster than effort. Imitate excellence without shame. Copy the best performers openly. Learn patterns before attempting originality. Detach emotion from progress. Measure skill objectively. Let satisfaction come from correctness, not praise. If you do this, skill stops being mysterious. It is no longer about raw talent or inspiration. It becomes mechanical. And once skill becomes mechanical, speed follows naturally. Precision becomes automatic. Execution becomes effortless. Creativity and innovation arrive later, built on a foundation that can support them. Mastery, once structured this way, is no longer a guess. It is engineered. The deeper insight is this. Civilizations that treat skill as structure produce competence at scale. Civilizations that treat skill as identity produce talent unevenly. China chose the first path, and the results are visible everywhere. This is not about East versus West. It is about how societies design learning. And once you see the design, you can redesign your own path. That is the method beneath the method, the system beneath the skill. And the reason mastery, for some cultures, is not rare at all.